Hi there, and welcome. If you're managing an estate here in the UK, you're probably facing a mountain of questions right now. Well, today we're going to tackle one of the very first and most critical steps, getting your inheritance tax reference number. Think of it as the key that unlocks the whole process, and we're here to guide you through it.
And look, we get it. This quote really hits home for a lot of people. You're trying to navigate a personal loss, and at the same time, you've been handed this incredibly complex legal and financial job. It's completely normal to feel overwhelmed and just unsure of where to even start. And that's exactly why we've teamed up with the experts at My Tax Accountant. They work with people in your exact position every single day. They've put together this guide to give you a clear step-by-step path through one of the most important first tasks so you can move forward with confidence. So let's dive in.
All right, here's our game plan for today. We'll kick things off with the basics. Why this all matters. Then we'll get into the practical stuff, how you actually get your hands on that reference number. We'll also cover the common mistakes you'll want to avoid, how to deal with trickier situations, what to do with the number once you have it, and finally, how getting some expert support can make all the difference.
Okay, let's get started with Section 1. Before we jump into filling out forms or anything like that, it's so important to understand what we're actually dealing with, and more importantly, why getting this one specific number right from the very beginning is so crucial.
So let's break it down. What even is inheritance tax? In simple terms, it's a tax on the total value of everything someone owned when they passed away. Their property, money, possessions, the whole lot. For the 2025-26 tax year, the standard tax-free threshold is £325,000. Now, if the estate is worth more than that, there's a good chance IHT will need to be paid. And to do that, you need something very specific.
Which brings us to the big question. You've probably heard this term thrown around, but what exactly is an IHT reference number? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like a unique tax ID, but for the estate itself. It's the one special code that HMRC, that's the tax office, uses to track every single thing related to this particular estate's tax affairs.
And let me be clear, this isn't just some bit of optional admin. It's absolutely non-negotiable. First off, it's a legal requirement. You literally cannot pay any inheritance tax without one. Simple as that. It also makes sure every penny paid goes to the right place, which is crucial for preventing delays in getting probate. That's the legal permission you need to actually start distributing the assets. And finally, getting it sorted quickly helps you hit your deadlines and avoid nasty penalties and interest charges.
Now let's look at the next step. We know the what and the why, so let's get into the practical how. We're going to walk through the process of actually applying for and getting your IHT reference number.
Okay, so you've basically got two choices. Apply online or do it by post. The online application through the gov.uk website is easily the fastest way. And here's the key thing. You get your reference number instantly when you submit it. That's a huge deal. The postal option means filling out a paper form, the IHT 422, and mailing it in. Then you wait for the number to be posted back to you, which can take weeks. So for most people, going online is a real no-brainer.
Let's quickly run through the online route. It's actually really user-friendly. Just pop over to the gov.uk website, type Apply for an Inheritance Tax Reference Number into the search bar, and the system will guide you through it. You just follow the prompts, enter the details, check it over, and hit Submit. Boom! Your unique IHT reference number will pop up right there on the screen.
Now, if you prefer paper, you'll need Form IHT 422. You can download it right from the gov.uk website. The most important thing here is accuracy. Fill in every single section carefully. Once it's done, you'll post it to the address you see on the screen, Inheritance Tax, HM Revenue and Customs, BX91HT. After that, it's a bit of a waiting game for the number to arrive in the mail.
Okay, here's a pro tip for you. Before you even start either application, get all this stuff together. It'll save you a massive headache. You're going to need the deceased's full name, their date of birth and death, and their national insurance number. You'll also need their last address, your own name and contact details, and a rough estimate of the estate's value. That includes both what it's worth and what it owes.
That's not all. Here's where most people go wrong. Seriously, let's make sure you don't fall into the same common traps. These little mistakes are the biggest reason for frustrating delays, and they are so easy to avoid.
All right, let's look at these pitfalls. The number one mistake is applying too late. HMRC says you need to apply at least 3 weeks before you plan to pay any tax. Don't leave it to the last minute. Next up, incomplete forms. Even one empty box can get your application bounced right back to you. Double check, then check it again. Third, getting the details wrong.
A typo in the name or one wrong digit in the national insurance number will cause a problem. It has to be perfect. And finally, putting down the wrong address for you. Even if you apply online, they post an official confirmation, and you're going to need that letter.
Of course, not every estate fits neatly into a box. Things can get complicated, and this is where having some expert advice from a team like My Tax Accountant can be a real game changer. Let's touch on a few of those more complex situations.
So, your situation might be a bit trickier if, say, the estate owns a property abroad. Suddenly you're dealing with international tax rules. Or maybe the deceased had a trust. That's a whole other world of IHT regulations. If there's a business involved, that adds another layer, but it could also mean you're eligible for some valuable tax relief. And what happens if you just lose the number? First off, don't panic. Just call the HMRC IHT helpline right away. And remember, if you're the executor for more than one person, each estate needs its own, separate IHT reference number.
So, you did it. You've applied and you've got your reference number. Great, but the job's not done. Not by a long shot. Now you have to actually use it. Stay with me, the next point might surprise you in just how central this one number is to everything else that happens.
Let's make this real. Meet Richard. His mother's estate was worth about £600,000. In early April, he jumped online and got his IHT reference instantly. A few weeks later, he used that number to pay the IHT that was due and to submit the big IHT 400 form. And because all the tax stuff was properly logged with that reference number, his application for probate in June sailed through without a hitch. You can see how that number was the key that unlocked every single step.
So let's just boil it down. Your IHT reference number does two main, crucial jobs. You absolutely must quote it anytime you make an IHT payment, and you have to put it on the full inheritance tax account. That's the big one, Form IHT 400. That number is what links your payment to your paperwork, creating one tidy file for HMRC.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From the absolute basics to some pretty complex stuff. It's a detailed process, and it's totally normal to feel like maybe you could use a helping hand. And that brings us perfectly to our last section, getting expert support.
This is really where a specialist firm like My Tax Accountant can be a lifesaver. They can take the whole process off your plate. They'll make sure the estate is valued correctly, which is a huge potential pitfall. They'll handle all the complicated forms, calculate the exact tax you owe, and find every single relief and exemption possible to minimize that bill. And best of all, they deal with all the communications with HMRC, taking all that stress and worry right off your shoulders. So if you're feeling like you could use some professional advice on this or really any other tax issue, don't hesitate to get in touch with them. The team at My Tax Accountant is ready to help. You can give them a call on 020-8570-8531, or you can drop them an email at info@mytaxaccountant.co.uk to set up a chat. Okay, and before we wrap up, I just need to share this important disclaimer. The information in this presentation is for general informational purposes only and should not be relied upon to make financial decisions. You must consult a qualified professional, like the team at My Tax Accountant, before making any decisions specific to your own situation.
And that really brings us to the end. We'll leave you with one final question to think about. Understanding this IHT reference number is a brilliant first step, but the road ahead has a lot more twists and turns. So the real question is, are you confident you can navigate the rest of it alone and make sure you maximize the value that's ultimately passed on to your loved ones?